There's someone out there. I joke that I want to be him when I grow up. He's 4 years old, and oh, he is awesome. This kid is just amazing, and so he not walk but runs around on like knives. Like his feet are because he's from birth, and he
Yeah.
just runs around naked or whatever. And when he does.
Hello and welcome to part 4 of this interview with my friend Michael. He lives outside all the time in a clay hut about 3 hours away in St. Louis, Missouri. He has some very interesting perspectives about life, and I hope that you enjoy it. Also, if you missed the beginning parts, they're all linked below, and please leave any comments if you have any questions. Please like and subscribe to this channel. It's okay, right? Yeah.
It's like, I love what you're doing so much because I feel like a big problem with society nowadays is that people have become so disconnected to this outside world that we live on.
But coming back on this trip for a week here for a well-paying gig, I just sort of realized the more and more I've been connecting with nature on like an intimate level and things like that, or spiritual, whatever you want to call it, like the more it's come like a part of my foundation. And like I've grounded my shoes. You can put like copper rivets in your shoes to help ground because my feet I still have baby feet. You know, I can't walk barefoot on rock, and we got a lot of rock.
Walking barefoot.
It's like knives out there. Anyway, so I've just been kind of really connecting to Mother Earth or the nature or something like that. And so coming back here, it's just like being a baby in an incubator, and all you want is like, I want to be touched. I want my mother. I want this connection, and I'm in this plastic thing, and it feels so foreign. And it's like slowly I've kind of watched that happen over this week, where it's like, the food I'm eating is just breakfast cereal, and then that's kind of my fault, but it's right there, and it's just like, so it's like my diet. It's like I'm losing every aspect. I'm losing some connection to nature that I had. Like we eat food from the garden, or
Right.
get at the farmer's market that was grown somewhere locally, and not everything. But anyway, so being back here, I've kind of just this isolation, and it's just sort of made me a little crazy. Like, I just hate this. Which I was saying earlier, I went and just hugged a tree and was feeling the plants. It was like, I need this connection again.
Yeah.
So anyway, the long story, but
I mean, I feel silly asking you these questions because you're in nature all of the time. So
Mhm.
it's like, usually I'm asking these people that aren't doing that. But
Okay.
one of them is, how do you connect with nature every day?
yeah, I kind of live there. I
Yeah, but
mean,
it sounds like you like to hug trees, and
well,
you
yeah,
like it.
yeah,
You're
I'm a
very
I'm a tree
tactile.
hugger,
You
yeah.
like to feel
Yeah.
the earth.
Yes, and but well, like, I mean, it's not something that I go do. It's just a part of my lifestyle, and it's sometimes a pretty rugged or tiring, or I mean, you get endurance and you get stronger and things like that. But just pickaxing that clay, and then you dig it out. You're touching it with your hands. When you're sitting there for hours sifting the rocks out, you're feeling it, and then you throw it. So that might be pretty impractical for people to go dig clay and then feel it, just as a hobby. But
Yeah.
but or planting trees. I'm touching the earth, and I'm pulling the rocks out, and I'm planting the trees, or I'm holding the trees by the roots, and they're in a bucket of water, and so it's just. And then lately, I got these shoes, and they're thin enough where I could put a rivet in them and ground them. So when I walk, I'm just having a connection with nature.
Honestly, I wouldn't wear shoes if it wasn't socially acceptable to not.
There's someone out there. I joke that I want to be him when I grow up. He's 4 years old, and oh, he is awesome. This kid is just amazing, and so he not walk but runs around on like knives. Like his feet are because he's from birth, and he's naked or whatever, and when he does, he lives at an intentional community out there. So there is one in the area.
Really?
Yeah, and so I don't get to see him that much, but like when he's just running around in bare feet on like gravel rocks, and like we're playing tag or something, I'm like, this is not fair. Like, come back. I cannot catch you. I need to put shoes on. Yeah. But he's
some strong feet, man.
Yeah, he's just a beautiful kid all around.
Yeah.
But having grown up in that lifestyle, he's just really immersed in it. Is where it's me. It's like I'm unlearning the things like that I grew up with. It's like so I've grown up looking at the world a certain way, or being influenced by cartoons or television or books or whatever the case, and so that's like my foundation. And so how do you separate that out? How do you pull that out? And so that's kind of what I'm doing. There's a rewilding is kind of a term that people use.
Rewilding.
Yeah,
I like that.
is
yeah.
the term that people use, and it's like I have to, or like people wear clothes. There was one podcast they were talking about this. Like people wear clothes, and it's like if they lift their arms up, their shirt would go up. And so what happens is you're wearing these dress clothes or whatever, and you don't move your body,
yeah.
so they become brittle, and so it's just modern
Man.
clothes can do that, and so
Gotta be comfy.
it's just we don't wear clothes because clothes are stupid. But
At home?
yeah, I mean, sort of, it's just so hot. It's just so hot, so it's impractical.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So back how I got into native plants originally, like a long time ago, before I ever started purchasing native plants and or selling them or learning more about them. I had a Nepalese friend, and he was in a master's program, and he said, "Hey, I will pay you $200. Can you write all my papers for my English class?" And I was like, "It's not very ethical and whatever." But of course, I was broke at the time, and I was like, "Oh, that's a lot of money, for I don't know how old I was, 24 or something like that, or maybe younger." But anyway, so I did, and you got to choose the topics, and so the last topic I chose was native plants, and I really dived into that, and I was reading these books, and I was like, whoa, this is actually really awesome. This makes a lot of sense to me. And one of the things they were talking about, which relates, is like nature deficit disorder. They called it something, and I never looked into it after that, so maybe it's real, maybe I don't know. But there was the idea that like when you're isolated from nature, whether even if people go fishing or spend a trip, that sort of counts as exposure. But if you're like completely isolated from nature, they noticed like ADD in children or ADHD, and then also like antisocial personality in adults and stuff like that. And so people that sort of don't have connection to nature, I mean, it probably is affecting them in some negative ways. And
I mean, being outside, they've already proven with studies that it like relaxes you and it makes you happier, like on a full level. But I think that just makes sense because we're human beings, like, and we're animals, like we're just supposed to be in this world, like not in this world that we've created.
Yeah,
we're supposed to be living in harmony with it, which is another thing that I love about the Back to Landers, because it's like I feel like you guys are doing that.
Time for part 5.